yourselves. The first one is Nikki Baer.
Good evening, and thank you for the invitation to be with you this evening. I'm joined this evening with my husband Tracy, one of my dear friends Laura, and my husband and I live in LaSalle. I've lived in LaSalle County my whole life, born and raised. My son and his wife and our 2 grandchildren also now live in LaSalle. I'm not too far from us. And my parents are over in Putnam County, wintering now in Arizona, or they would be with me this evening as well. Being from LaSalle County and from our area, my education was at LP High School, IBCC, and then Northern Illinois University. I've worked for Hometown National Bank now for over the last 17 years, been in banking for over 20 years. Why would I want to leave Hometown National Bank being an officer for such a substantial bank in our community for a new challenge that I feel that I'm up and ready for? Excuse me. Been involved in a lot of charity in our community. I've served on the United Way board. I currently still serve on the board of directors for the March Dimes. I've been a volunteer with them for over 30 years. I've been on the LaSalle Excellence Foundation as their vice president and their president. Other things I get involved in from time to time, my husband's not even sure why, but I just seem to be a worker bee who, if somebody's busy and you need to get something done, that's who you call. I'm one of those people, so I have a hard time telling people no. And it's that passion and that commitment and that drive to want to help our community and take it to another level that I'm interested in this position and leaving the financial district to become your next LaSalle County Circuit Clerk. Thank you.
And Jim Olson.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jim Olson. I am a candidate for LaSalle County Circuit Clerk. I like to use 3 words that describe myself and my campaign: experience, leadership, accomplishments. I have 23 years of elected public service. I've been a small business owner in my community for 33 years. I served 8 years on the Grundy County Chiefs Youth Football Board, 6 years as the athletic director, 2 years as the vice president of the board. My final 2 years I was the president. When I came on that board, they were heavily in debt. When I left that board, they had $10,000 in the bank. I served 8 years on the Seneca Village Council, 6 years as a street commissioner, 2 years as the public safety commissioner. During my 8 years, I brought back shipyard days. I was responsible for miles of street, sidewalk, underground infrastructure improvements. Also during my time on the council, we built a new city hall and a new boat launch with a park. Until last December, when I was appointed to be the current circuit clerk, I served on the LaSalle County board for 7 years. 4 of those years I served on the circuit clerk committee. For 3 years I served as chairman of the Property and Parks Committee. When I left the county board, I was serving as the finance chairman, overseeing a $75 million budget, and also serving as vice chairman of the full board. The comment about that we are $10 million deficit is a misstatement. Anyone wants to see me after the meeting, I'll explain that. We do not have a $10 million deficit. As a finance chairman of LaSalle County, I'm proud that under my direction, the committee reduced the county's general fund operating budget for 15-16 by 7%. Never cut one county service, not one employee lost their job. I have and will always support the hardworking men and women of LaSalle County. I am proud to announce that I am endorsed by the Illinois Valley Building and Trades Council, and I am also endorsed by the Illinois Valley Federation of Labor. This is just a short version of my accomplishments, and I'm asking for your support and vote on March 15th. Thank you.
And Greg Vaccaro.
Thank you. I'd like to thank everybody for taking time to come out and join us this evening. My name is Greg Vaccaro. I'm a lifelong resident of the Illinois Valley area. My wife Joanne works at IVCH Hospital in the billing department. Tomorrow she's running a marathon at Disney, so she's not here this evening. My son David Vaccaro is a graduate of NIU at Northern. He's a research chemist, scientist out in San Jose, California. My daughter, Betsy Caputo, works at IVCH as an office liaison. Her husband, Brennan, is a DNR representative here for the state of Illinois. And my stepson, Dave, is the sales manager at Compass Trucking in Naperville. For the past 34 years, I've run a union print shop. I've been very successful and very fortunate. My partner is union and my employees were all union. Recently, I sold that business and I'm on to new adventures. I'm currently working full-time at Home Depot as a floor manager. Before that, I ran KB toy stores. I had 2 states, 10 stores, 200 employees, $12 million in sales. Very experienced with big staffs, multiple locations, and being responsible for a lot of different entities. What I'm most proud of, I must be the oldest person here because I've been serving the community for over 40 years. I'm past president and past board member of over 15 board of directors. Horizon House, YMCA, United Way, Peru Rotary. I can't even think of all of them when I'm trying to think that quick. I've served as president, vice president, treasurer, director. One thing about serving on all these boards and helping in the community, you learn from other people serving on the boards with you. I've learned finance, I've learned marketing, I've learned strategy, I've learned HR. Thank you very much.
All right then. Question number 1 is, what is your opinion of the JANO justice system and how would you address some of the problems reported by staff and by judges and the state's attorney's office? And the first person to go then will be Jim Olson.
That's a good question. Taking on a new software system is always complicated. There's been bumps in the road. There's no doubt about that. But we are working very hard with JANO to make sure that the issues are resolved, and we keep working on it. The problem you have is once you commit to a major purchase like that, as the county has done, we got to try and make it work. And I've let JANO know that if it does not work at a point, we will pull the plug on them and look for a new software program. But I can tell you that the staff with the circuit clerk's office is working very hard to get through any of those situations and make the JANO system work very efficiently. Probably the biggest thing coming to the office is technology, and that's got to be done through the JANO system to put all the pieces in place so that eventually you may have what's called a paperless courtroom. So it is a good question. We're addressing it. We're working on it. And I think that at the end, it's going to be fine. There's no software program that I've ever seen implemented on the scale like with the county here that ever went smooth. But we are working on it, and I think it's going to be fine.
Mr. Vaccaro.
Any software to that size is going to have situations that are going to be complicated. It's, if you're in my house and my iPhone doesn't work, I go to my grandson. They're trained. They know more than we do. Looking out there, you need to be proactive. You can't be reactive. Anytime you have a big system like this, you have to be able to be prepared for hiccups and seeing what's out there. Obviously, there's other counties in the state of Illinois, and you need to network. You need to work together as a team to find what works. We are a large county. We do make that change. E-tickets are coming. The state police are mandatory looking at writing e-tickets, which is going to be a new technology for the clerk's office. We're just a few years away from everything being done with technology and not paperwork. So you need to be on top of it. You have to do continuing ed. And hardware is not cheap. You have to look at what's out there, what's the latest technology, and you can't hold off a couple years. You have to be proactive, and I think that's a major concern.
Mrs. Baer.
Any technology system is going to have its bumps, as the gentleman had mentioned, but at what time do you pull the plug and stop wasting taxpayer dollars on a system that's extremely user-friendly? I think coming into this, I will definitely be looking to network with other counties and find out what their systems are that are working more efficiently. I find that, you know, coming from the financial district, we are already pushed to paperless, and trying to keep things on cabinet space is hard to come by. It takes up too much of a footprint. So we're already that direction, and I would look to take that to the next step with this particular system to see if there is something better out there. Hopefully a little quicker, since I guess I'm the youngest one that you would send your cell phone to on the panel. But like I said, I just find that efficiencies are the biggest thing to look for, and if we're wasting our time on a system that's being cumbersome, we need to cut our losses and look for something quicker that's not as expensive as well in the whole scheme of things, to how much downtime we're having with staff that are having to work through said bumps. So I think there may be better and less costly out there for us to look at.
Yes, I believe that my question will start with Mrs. Baer again. Thank you, Greg, for mentioning your grandson, because this question is important. I think everybody in the room probably has a telephone, cell phone that takes pictures. Taking pictures of what's on the circuit clerk's office computer screen is no longer allowed. Would you continue that policy?
Absolutely. Coming from a banking industry, we are huge with confidentiality and regulations to privacy. Anything on the circuit clerk's records, their screens, nothing should be taken outside of that department. That should.
But you could get a Xerox copy for, I believe it's $2.50 of that same information.
If it's your personal information, yes. If it's something on someone else's screen, are you?
So that means I can sit there and take notes from the screen, but I can't take a video or a digital image.
Well, the recording of that and the filing of that is taking up staff time, and the system that is currently in place to use, that costs taxpayer dollars. Therefore, to have an image paid for is reimbursing us for our time to make that available to you. So to take that picture by phone is currently not acceptable, and I would continue with that.
Would there be any penalties?
You would like to try to enforce them, but is that going to be possible? Not necessarily, to be honest with you. It should be penalized, it should be enforced, but I'm sure that there's a lot of other things out there that are going to be found to be more of a priority than taking a photo off a computer screen with your phone.
Thank you, Mr. Olson.
You know, let's face it, the bottom line is it's a revenue stream coming in for the office. That's the bottom line. As you say, you can get a copy of it and leave with it. What I would plan on doing is, when I go through the budget process this year, I'll review what the income side of that particular situation is and consider that maybe we can do something different. But it will cost the county some money. It is like many things that you come to the county and ask for, we have to charge for it to cover our expenses. This really is no different. I think that's what the bottom line comes down to. But I'm not against looking at it. I'm not against looking at the budget and seeing if we did away with it, what's it going to cost? How would we make it up? It is a revenue stream. That's the bottom line.
Mr. Vaccaro.
I'm not sure how much we're talking about for revenue stream, but I'm into convenience. Today's world, everything is out there, and security is an option and a measure we always are concerned about. Even when you're shopping as simple as Target, you worry about your credit card. Security is important, revenue is important, but what about the taxpayers? I think everything needs to be looked at. Keeping a controlled budget and revenue coming in is important, but at the same time, we're here to serve the taxpayers and look at what's best for them. So yes, it needs to be looked at and addressed, and I'm not quite sure yet how I would approach that.
The next question pertains to administrative adjudication, and for the benefit of the audience, that's a fancy way of saying City Hall Court. Instead of hoofing it to Ottawa for your noise violations and the dog at large, you can simply go to City Hall. To the question then, Do you favor administrative adjudication and expanding that program to enable taxpayers to save some time and money by settling small matters off-site, paying their fines at City Hall as opposed to at the circuit clerk's office in Ottawa? And we'll begin with Mr. Vaccaro.
I think you're seeing more and more of it. When you look at juvenile court, you look at city court, you look at the way traffic fines are being paid, you can go into your local city and go in front of a person there and handle it. It can save money. Going off-site, paying fines, doing what needs to be done is a convenience again for everybody. Having to drive to Ottawa from different communities, you end up losing a day of work. If you can do it in your town and make it simpler, pay the fine, do what needs to be done, I think it would be a savings. Again, we'd have to look at revenue sources. We'd have to look at setting up other sections to do this. But we're seeing more and more of it, and yes, I think it's a very strong possibility.
Thank you. Mrs. Baer, same question. Do you favor the expansion of administrative adjudication?
I do. Anymore, you can Skype, you can FaceTime. There's no reason why that could not be set up at a city hall for someone to be able to do that if they did need to be in front of someone for a case like this. I was just asked last night at a fish fry if I was in favor of online payments for out-of-town people that get a traffic ticket. I've been one of those people that have had to go to Ottawa with a minor child that had gotten in a car or gotten a ticket for an accident, for a car accident, and spent an entire day with my son out of school, with me out of work, having to wait for our time to be called in front of the judge, only to be found out that our ticket and information wasn't even there yet. We had to go back again 2 weeks later. So again, I'm out of work, my son's out of school. I don't think our taxpayers that are hardworking people and our students, or for something like that, should have to be pulled that far away for that long. So I'm definitely in favor of trying to set up something along those lines for them to be closer and quicker to get those type of tickets handled. Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Olson, administrative adjudication, for comment.
It's here, it's going on. I don't see it going away. I see it getting bigger. I don't have a problem with it. Again, does it take some revenue away from the county? It does. That's the main thing we have to keep in mind and figure out how we're going to deal with that. I don't blame the communities for wanting to handle it themselves. It is probably more of a convenience on the community. I think it's a revenue stream for the communities. Again, it does cut into the county's budget. That's something that will have to be considered during budget time. And by the way, we do have ePay. You can pay your fine online, and a lot of other good things are coming down the road real quick electronically.
Yeah, since the county deficit was mentioned, and that's my expertise, the county's financial report, buried in it, is unfunded retirement liabilities of $15 million and a whopping $50 million of retiree health care benefits. Those are not, the retiree health care benefits are not being pre-funded when the employees are working. Do you believe that those should be pre-funded while the employees are working, or do you think those should be passed on to future taxpayers?
Is that a question for me? That has been a subject of conversation many times in our finance meetings. That is a concern. However, you have to keep in mind, those numbers are as if everybody that's on there retired today. Of course, we know that's not going to happen. But it is a concern. I know it's being brought up, and I think it's talked about, and we are addressing that.
By saying that they are, you need to in essence only worry about those, not worry about those now because they're going to be paid off over time, is like saying that I really don't need to worry about my credit card balance because I'm going to pay the minimum payment over time. And why should future taxpayers, do you think that future taxpayers should be paying for the retiree health care benefits of people who have already worked and those taxpayers are not receiving any benefits from that worker?
Well, I agree. It has to be addressed. I don't know what the answer is going to be to address it. You're talking a lot of money, but yeah, it has to be addressed. It's a concern. It has to be talked about.
And if it's a concern, why was 2.9? Why was the fund shorted out by $2.9 million in 2000? Latest numbers we have is 2012. Should not that $2.9 million of accruing benefit be included in the budget?
It probably should be. That's the first time that that's been brought to my attention, that there was a deficit as that amount being paid, so I really can't answer that.
And we'll let the other two have the opportunity to answer the same question. Mr. Vaccaro.
I don't believe in passing debt on. We look at pensions, you look at police, you look at fire, you look at teachers' pensions, you look at the state of Illinois, and we're in a mess. By continually bonding out, by continually passing debt on, we're putting that burden on our children. Where are they going to be in 20 years? What are the tax rates going to be? It's easy for us to sit in a chair and say, the next guy can worry about it, let's just get by. I don't like that answer. How do we address it? How do we bring the revenues up to pay for this? That's the big question that we're always, trying to struggle through. But we need to address it. It just can't keep ballooning, and that's what's happening.
Do you think the current system as pay-as-you-go should continue, or should it be pre-funded?
Without studying it, it's hard to answer. I don't like to pay to go, but again, I'm not sitting in there, so I'm not looking at the numbers and the facts that they are. It's a very difficult question to answer when you haven't been on the board or you haven't been involved in it. But it's something that I think needs to be looked at very, very hard.
And Mrs. Baer.
Again, I have not served on any of the county boards or committees to be reviewing those numbers specifically, but I agree with Greg Vaccaro that I do not believe that our future generation should be paying for the debt that we're incurring today. We need to find a way to rein that in and get answers for that and get those funds raised to cover the deficits. How do we go about doing that? Obviously, I need to be in that position to be able to get involved with that. I have not had that experience at this point in time financially. We look at budgets all the time, but I have not had a chance to review this one.
I would encourage you and all the attendees to review the county's comprehensive annual financial report on their website. I could not find it on their website last week on Wednesday or Tuesday, but it mysteriously appeared yesterday. So the November 2014 statement is out, and we've been assured that the 15 statement will be ready in about a month.
And the closings now. Let's start with Nikki Baer.
I think my experience in banking with handling large commercial clients, their finances and budgets, being part of our bank's strategic planning for our own budget and our own plans to find efficiencies with how we operate. Long gone are the days to have 5 and 6 tellers waiting at the window for you. We're running with 2 most days because of technology. Online banking, direct deposit, that type of thing. We don't have the customer flow that we used to. So can things be slimmed down through technology? Absolutely. I think there's been some missed opportunities by people that are currently sitting on some of the circuit clerk boards and the committees before. I know Joe Navarro was not well when he left, and that was an opportunity for that committee to maybe do more than they did. I know Andy Skoog has done quite a bit in that position, bringing in collection efforts and those type of things to try to reduce taxpayer dollars by collecting a lot of the back money, millions of dollars in back money that's owed to the circuit clerk's department. I have an experience in collections through banking. I'm going to want to take that to the next level. I think there's more that can be done. So I know the online payment squad comment. It was a state trooper that commented that they didn't even know we had online payment options. So I think we need to get communication out there to our communities as far as what is available to them. I don't think they know enough about how they could mediate maybe some of their time and energy as well, if they could pay things online. So we need to get that out to our community. I also feel that we need to work harder in getting the staff's contracts for their employment done sooner. They're continuing to be on a one-year contract with extensions. We need to get something longer so we're not spending those tax dollars on attorneys and reviews and things like that. So I feel there's a lot of opportunities in that department, and I think they've been missed and overlooked.
Jim Olson.
Biggest thing facing the circuit clerk's office is the technology that is coming. It's not easy. The JANL system is not perfect, but we are working on that. There's no system out there that's perfect, no system that works perfect for every situation. The technology, though, as we move more and more into this technology, we also have to battle the problem of people getting into our system. So we're working very hard to keep that information safe. But on the other side, you got to remember there's people that are working just as hard to get into it. And we are addressing that, and we're working hard on that. As the collections go, the collections are going very well. I'm happy to announce that we just entered into the iDrop program with the state of Illinois, which is going to allow the county to collect monies due if you have a state income tax check coming. That's something that's been in the work, and it was just inked last week, and that is in place. As far as the contracts go, I agree. I think they go on too long. We're going to start negotiating the circuit clerk's contract here next month, and my goal is to streamline it. I don't think we need to have a bunch of meetings and cost the county a lot of money and try to work through the problems with the other side face to face, not leaving and coming back 2 or 3 days later. Let's sit at the table, get the issues out there, talk about them, and get it resolved. I think things are going very well in the clerk's office, and if I'm allowed to continue past November, I'm going to work very hard to be the best circuit clerk I can be.
I've negotiated and worked on a first-time contract with ASME Union. I've negotiated teachers' contracts, janitor contracts. When you serve on all these boards, you're dealing with a lot of employees and a lot of contracts over the years. So that's something that I do have in my portfolio. What I'm most proud of is after running a printing business for 34 years, I have done the campaign printing for state senators, state representatives, county officials, township officials, mayors, aldermen. I have developed a network over those years of people that I can pick up the phone and talk to. I've been to Springfield several times trying to get monies available for expansion from current businesses, bringing new businesses in, or even funding non-for-profit organizations. I have that experience, and that means a lot. To learn and know what you're doing is to work with people who also have the experience and be able to call them and work with them on a daily basis. And that's something I can offer. The circuit clerk's office is a very strong, important entity here in the county. There's 30 employees, in 2 locations, and that's not an easy task. There's always ways of improvement, and one way of improvement is to talk to other communities, other counties, and see what they're doing. I'm very dedicated. I've been to 1,000 meetings, committee and board meetings, and that's part of my record. You can see that if you look at the sheet that I have. I've been very dedicated. Thank you.